definitely an overlooked map. And, for several reasons, I don't blame people for not really wanting to replay this map, whether you're casual or competitive or anything in between. I would say it's mostly because of the layout of the map. With casuals, it's mostly popular for known for doing the Easter egg as usual. That's usually what a lot of people like to do. They like to play with friends and then do the Easter egg, and they get to watch the Earth get blown up for the moon, which is pretty cool. And for the competitive players, it's mostly just a lot of inconvenient things. And for a very long time, there were a lot of problems with this map when people try to do like the high rounds and all that. Things kept going wrong, and for a long time, people didn't really understand. And that's when finally they discovered entities were a big factor in the game, and it's what causes a lot of the problems and what shortens the reset. So this map, has a lot of those. So for the most part, I'll name a few, and I'm pretty sure you'll see some on here. But when entities was finally figured out, they were finally able to optimize a little bit better on the map, on the high round. So and this map, it's you don't really see. I haven't really seen anybody play this map, let alone try and beat the record. So and I think it's mostly because I think it's pretty optimized. I don't think anybody's gonna be able to beat this one. So this is a great job, Ferd. Once again, we're talking about Ferd again. So yeah, I mean, he pretty much, when they figured out, how to optimize the map, he pretty much figured okay, and he did it pretty well. He got to 222. I think if somebody could do it a little bit faster, they might be able to beat it by one round. I think maybe, but yeah. I wish them good luck, and they're gonna have to work for it. That's for sure. So let's get started. So you obviously start off Area 51, and cool thing is that in Area 51 you can get Jug, but you're gonna have to restart into it. So make sure it spawns in, and you can start off with Jug right off the bat. That's one of the cool things about this map. And if you want, you could pack a punch if you're really that good at being able to do it. I've done it a couple times, but it's really kind of just doesn't even feel worth it. It's just better and it's safer. And competitive players, they do the same thing. They don't even bother with that. So yeah, unless you're doing No Man's Challenge, which is another cool thing about this map. The No Man's Challenge. That actually has a pretty cool competition of its own. But yeah, for high running, it's not really convenient. So obviously, you just grab Jug, which is mandatory, and then you come up here. And if you're not aware of this, when it comes to Black Ops One, all the other games, it's actually better. Well, you can play them on console and compete on console, and so, in most cases, it is better on console. But for Black Ops One, you got to be on PC. There's really no other way around that. If you're trying to optimize the map, yeah, it's just you're just gonna have to get on PC. So and when you spawn up from the very first area, you start off right there where you get the astronaut mask. You have to get yeah, well, you get the astronaut mask, but then when you start off in those first few rounds, I think most casuals already do this anyways. I mean, you start knifing those first few rounds. But on PC, you have the advantage of being able to knife faster. So you're doing this at a faster rate. So, and speed and time is a huge factor when it comes to high running. So I don't think a lot of people could understand. Yeah, you got to play fast. I mean, really fast. So, and, these guys are the best at what they do, especially for it. Definitely one of the best. If not, well, in my opinion, he is the best. But he, so you got to be on PC so you can knife faster, and then from there, you go up. What was it, Tunnel 11, I think. Yeah, and from there, you're pretty much, you get the PM gun, and then you start going at it. While you're in Tunnel 11, you're grabbing the astronaut teddy bear because it's part of one of the entities for one of I think the Easter egg song or whatever. And if you don't know what entities are, basically they are part of the code in the game that to be specific, I really can't. I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, it's part of the code in the game basically, and how they affect the game is basically how long your reset will be. So the more entities you have, the shorter the reset. The less entities you have, the longer the reset. What you want is a longer reset. So what reset is basically if a lot of people assume, because they never really play the game for that long, so especially not compared to like how long these guys played, like over, I think in this map it's what, like 76 and a half hours to reset. I mean, yeah, just imagine playing this for 76 and a half hours. Yeah, I don't I'm pretty sure any normal person, yeah, that's just, yeah, it's pretty ridiculously a long time, right? But these guys, they're competitive players, so it's a different story for them. It's just a challenge. They definitely, they take that as a challenge, and that's what they look forward to doing. So, reset is basically okay. So, the zombies, the rounds are not unlimited, and you have 76 and a half hours to continue playing until the game basically ends and resets back to round one, and that's what reset is. So if you're getting rid of entities, you can increase that reset time, and depending on like how many and which ones you're getting rid of. On Moon there's quite a lot, and I don't even know all of them, but I know a few of them, like the quick revive machine and the Easter egg step you just saw right now. That was one of the entities he was getting rid of. So yeah, there's a few, and I think the teddy bear song, the teddy bear, the three teddy bears, astronaut teddy bears, are one of them. The pipe he picks up off the floor, I know that's one of them that he does, and the quick revive machine, of course, is another one. I know the reel he picks up off the floor next to the pyramid where you turn on the power. That's another one. I'm not sure if there's more. I'm pretty sure there's more, but I'm whether they are part of the strategy, because sometimes it might be inconvenient to go out of your way to do it. So it probably wouldn't be a good idea. But if there's more, I'm not really sure. But that's as far as I know that I'm aware of that are in the game. So entity is a huge factor. It was, it took them a while before they figured that out. It was just recent because this was not a thing. This was not a conversation back when I was playing. When I wanted to play, I had the passion to want it, but now I don't really have the passion to play competitively. But I do still enjoy watching these guys play and coming back into zombies. It's crazy. Like Ferd had, I think back then he was known as Phoenix, and he only had like, I think, one or two maps at a time. Now he has like four, well, five if you count Ascension. Which that's the one I'm gonna do next. So yeah, if you guys are looking forward to it, yeah, that's cool. But this is for this map, it's pretty insane, man. It's an insane strategy. A lot of entities. The strategy and the map layout is really inconvenient, which is why a lot of competitive players, they even casuals don't really look forward to doing that. So, but other than that, if we get into the other part of the part that is, there is a part of it that is really fun. Once you get set up and you get into the area where you first spawn in when you teleport from Area 51, that's really where you're going to camp predominantly the majority of the game. And you're just going to stay there. You got zombies coming out of two windows, and I think maybe from the other doors, but most likely not. I think you only open one of the doors, but so yeah, it's like I think three windows maybe. And yeah, I mean you're pretty much camping right there in that area. You're gonna have Sally's and this wave gun and Gershes, and yeah, that's pretty much all you're gonna need. Because with the hacker device, if you guys didn't know, if you haven't played this map, you have the hacker device, which you hack the drops. Anytime you get a drop, you basically can just hack it with the hacker device, and it'll turn into a max ammo. So at any point in the game, whenever you get a drop, you can just get your max ammo. Because in this map, you don't get like a dog or a monkey round or any special round that'll give you max ammo drops. So yeah, you pretty much have the hacker device, which was pretty cool. And the hacker device comes in handy in a lot of things. with the with the mystery box. It helps you out with that, so you spend less points hitting the box, so you can hit the box more times, which is actually pretty cool. But mostly it's for the most part, you're just gonna be using it to get max ammo drops. And the wave gun is really cool. It's got 28 shots, and then you turn it into the zap gun, and it's got like over 100 something shots, which are all unlimited damage any round, which is really cool. That's kind of one of the cool things about this map. So yeah, and you're pretty much, when you're in that area, it's really cool. It's really cool. I've only done it a few times because getting the setup is really inconvenient, and I think Ferdy admitted himself. I think I saw him talk about this on one of the big YouTubers channel. He was talking about it, and he was like, yeah, the setup, and he was talking about how many times you're gonna have to be restarting for that setup so much, because that's the thing. I think one of the most inconvenient parts, another inconvenient thing in the setup, other than obviously trying to get like chug and trying to get like your box set up, and one of the things that's really inconvenient is the excavator, which you got to time it right, because you got to trap the moon man so that he's not right there in that area where you're gonna be camping, right, which is right here where you first spawn in. And yeah, it's so you got to time it right. So obviously you got so many factors, and then you're doing all these entities and all that. Well, the entity part is really not that big of a deal, but you know but yeah, just the whole setup in those first 20 some ish rounds, yeah, it can be a little bit of an inconvenience, and kind of a hassle. So it just stirs a lot of players away from even playing it competitively. I remember back in the day watching Laiku. I saw part of how he did it. I'm not really sure the difference in strategy. I know back in those days, people were just having problems going high rounds. They kept getting freezes, or I don't know, all kinds of things. So it just wasn't working out. But they figured it out with the entities. So that's pretty cool. And another huge factor when it comes to like high rounding on this is so unlike most maps, if you didn't know this, most maps you get you're limited to the 4 drops per round. And if you're playing competitively, you have to understand drop cycle. And if you didn't know this also, it's basically your drops will go in a particular order. So like, let's say you get your insta kill first, right, and then you get double points, and then you get a nuke, and then you get a carpenter, and then you get a max ammo. That'll be your drop cycle. So the next time, after that max ammo, it'll repeat itself again. It'll be insta kill again, double point again. Now this drop cycle doesn't always happen. Sometimes it'll restart and change, and it could probably change back. You'll probably see 2 double max ammos. I don't know if you guys ever seen it before, but that does happen. You'll get like 2 double max ammos. That means that your cycle changed up. So most maps you get 4 drops, right? So you're obviously trying to time that right. So like, let's say your max ammo's last, right? So you had the carpenter last right before, and so in the next map, basically you start hitting everything with like. So if you still got a lot of ammo left in your wave gun, you start spamming it, and you want to get rid of as much ammo, because the next drop is going to be that max. So you want to use up all the ammo you can, and then boom, then you throw a Gersh down, and you get, well, not on this map, but on, like, let's say a different map, you would throw whatever it is that you're going to use to get, like, let's say it's Kino. You don't get drops out of the thunder gun, so you're just spamming the hell out of that thunder gun. And then all of a sudden you start using, claymores or your MPL, or, if you wouldn't really use a ray gun. Back in the day you did, but you don't do that anymore. But you would pretty much shoot them out with, the MPL and with claymores. And then you get and if you get your drops, because sometimes drops won't come out of some spawns. But let's say you do get your last max ammo drop. So if you get that max ammo drop, that's pretty much successfully, taking advantage of the drop cycle and making it work in your favor. Now, on like a map like Kino, it could be a good or a bad thing depending on if you're having like a dog round coming right after that, or it just happened. It could really suck. But on most normal maps, you get 4 drops per round, so you're limited to that. And you're timing that drop cycle, and sometimes it'll be changing. It's really crucial to understand drop cycle when you're playing competitively. Um, but unlike most maps on Moon, you have 8 drops. So that's a pretty important thing to know because later on in the game with 8 drops, that means that you could potentially, miss out on or overuse, or it could probably take you too long to get the drops that you're looking for. And one thing you really want to make sure you do, so on most maps you're playing in a certain area in a very limited tight spot, and the reason for that is because the spawns will come at you faster. And another reason, which is really common, is because you limit the amount of windows that the zombies come out of. So like, let's say on Reese, the zombies will only come out of 4 windows, which is perfectly what you want. And the reason for that is because if you have more than 4 windows open, um, you're gonna get carpenter drops. So if you have only 4 windows or less open with and the rest are boarded up, you won't get carpenter drops. So if you didn't know that, well, cool. Now you're informed. It's a cool thing to know. And so on Moon, that's completely possible because you're only having spawns coming out of, I think, the 2 windows. I'm not sure if they come out of any windows outside, but for sure they're definitely not spawning out of more than 4 windows. So in that area, you're not gonna get a carpenter drop. And you also want to make sure you get your setup out of the first box because that'll eliminate fire sale drops. So if you didn't know this, if you, like, let's say you don't get your setup out of the first box and the box ends up moving somewhere else, and now you gotta go hit a box from somewhere else. Because you move the box, you're not gonna get fire sale drops. So cool. Now you know that how that works. That how fire sale drops works. Um, but you don't want that if you're playing competitively high rounds. And the reason why you want less of the drops that you don't want is because it increases the chances of you getting the drops that you do want, like or other drops. But on Moon, it's a little bit more trickier because, like, let's say you're on a higher round, and you're throwing and you want and you're not getting the drops that you want. And remember, you're limited to 8 drops per round, so you're getting you throw one of those Gersh devices down, and like, let's say you haven't gotten a drop in a while, and then all of a sudden you throw a Gersh device down, and now you got like 3 or 4 or all freaking 8 drops coming out of one Gersh device. Yeah, that's something you don't want because let's say you're on like a really really high round, like over like round close to 200 or higher, and that happens. Yeah, and you still gotta, and that happens like towards the beginning of the round. Oh yeah, you're screwed, because you might possibly get behind in time because you're scrambling to trade now, and it's just not even worth it. You just pretty much put on all that time and work for nothing, because now you're gonna get behind in time and you're not gonna be able to beat the record. So yeah, that's kind of why you want to, like, pace your drop cycles and stuff. Another trick to know is that when you are throwing drops down, I mean, when you are throwing Gershes down to get drops, you're basically call it forcing drops. Let's say you get like 1 or 2 drops that come out, you want to hit the rest of the zombies with that wave gun, so that way none of them get sucked in by the Gersh device, and they don't leave any drops behind. So that's a really good trick to know when you're playing on Moon. So yeah, when you're grinding out high rounds, you really want to know some of this information. So yeah, if for whatever reason you're not able to get like any drops out of a Gersh device, basically what you end up having to do is you got to trade them, start running trades, which basically you got to start hitting the box again to get the Gershes back. You don't trade in your wave gun, you trade in the Gersh device. And if you happen to get QEDs, you'll end up using those. And at some point later on in the game, you use them to get like stamina up. So if you've never used QEDs, they're kind of random in what they leave behind. But if you can't buy stamina up and you gather up a horde and you hit them with the QED, you have the chance of getting stamina up out of that. And it's pretty important to have stamina because you're going to be doing some running, especially with trades. So yeah, that's an important thing to know. Another thing to know is is that basically it's faster just to trade out Gersh devices instead of just trying to like hit them again. So instead of trying to get like the wave gun back, it's just faster to get the Gersh device back. So you just start running trades, and then you get the Gersh device back, and that's another huge factor that comes into play with playing this map competitively. It's the trades, obviously. So there's just so many factors, and that's another inconvenient one that gets in the way. So yeah, for many reasons, that's why a lot of players just straight away, with this map, the layout, and just a lot of factors that come into play like that. So yeah, and of course later on you run into insta kill rounds. So if you don't know this, insta kill rounds are basically on round 163 and every 2 or 3 rounds after that. I put a list on here so that the round numbers that they land on this map. It's pretty. The good thing is that you don't have to worry about them landing on a particular round that you don't want them to land on, like on Kino or Ascension or Derice, which you don't want them to land on dog rounds. But on here, it's not a huge factor, so that's the good news. The bad news is, well, there really is no bad news when it comes to this map on insta kill rounds. So insta kill rounds are basically, when those rounds happen, basically the zombies' health resets back to round 1 health, so you can pretty much kill them instantly. Therefore, that's why it's called insta kill rounds. So you can just grab a wall weapon and they will die instantly with one shot, or you can knife them. But the strategy is, to play as fast as possible. So the strategy is basically to go get through insta kill round as fast as possibly is to pack a punch the M14, right next to the area that you're camping on the whole map, and you got to pack a punch the M14, and you're just gonna be shooting away. And it's the coolest thing, man. Every time I see insta kill round, it's for me, that's my ultimate goal when it comes to high rounding. I just want to be able to hit an insta kill round at least once, just to say I did it, and that would be really cool. So yeah, I don't even play competitively, but I've always wanted to hit an insta kill round, so that's been my goal. I've only gotten a 125, which is like not even halfway there. So yeah, but I'm sure one day I'll get it. So yeah. I think the coolest thing about insta kill round is just the fact that you're just pretty much shooting. It's kind of like you're sweating to do it, but it's not like as difficult as like the normal rounds. The normal rounds are very like they're a little bit more stressful. So yeah, the normal rounds, when you in the lower rounds, it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. You get to use the hell out of the wave gun, and you're using Sally's. And using claymores is not, it's not very fun. At least not for me, it isn't. But like insta kill rounds, yeah, you're just shooting away, one shot kill, and it looks like fun to me, honestly. The early rounds, like the first 30 rounds, are really the most fun for me. But I've always seen insta kill rounds. I'm like, man, I want to get to that. That looks like fun. So yeah, it looks really cool in my opinion. So I've always wanted to do it, and then you got your normal rounds, which you gotta in between the early and like the later rounds, you're doing like half hordes with the wave gun. So basically, you're killing like half a horde at a time, and then you might hit and then you eventually at some point you gotta throw a Gersh device down. So it's all about timing, pacing with everything like that. And then later on, you gotta run full hordes, and you gotta know how to train in this area. And I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you can see the pattern that he moves in. So he makes it look easy, but let me tell you, it's not. I've done no Nova on Kino, and I've seen people watch me do it, and they're like, yeah, it looks easy. You just sit in the fire trap. I'm like, let's see you do it. Okay. You know how much time I put into this, to be able to do this? I'm like, it's not easy. It looks boring and easy to some people, but it's not. It takes lots of practice. So, if you can, I would appreciate, you respect the dedication, because I do. I completely admire the dedication and respect it. I don't know about 76.5 hours. I mean, I don't know what You know you're not normal when you can do that. I mean, yeah, man. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean to poke fun, but you know, it's just like, man, you know, you definitely got something going on to make you want to do something that crazy. And I know it's an inner competitive drive. You know, obviously there's that, and you know, there's just something, you know, that makes you want to play the game. You know, I love the game that much too. You know, so. But man, it goes 76 and a half hours. Or I think on this map it's 76 and a half. But yeah, yeah, to do it. Oh man, that's crazy, man. That's insane. You guys are like that's yeah, that's cool, you know. But you know that insta kill round, yeah, I love that part. It's like, and then the normal rounds, you know, those are the parts that I don't enjoy. So yeah, I'm pretty sure, you know, to do that part is just, yeah, you gotta hoard up a whole, you know, you gather up a whole heart. I'm pretty sure even casuals understand that, where you got to train around. Except, you know, when you're doing this competitively, you got to do a little bit faster. So, you know, you're not just running around, you know, in a way, in a just a typical eight, you know, a figure eight circle, and you know, no, it's a little bit more. There's a little bit more of a structured way of doing it. So, you know, so that way you can optimize on how fast you're doing it, and that's really important, you know, especially in competitive zombies. So yeah, you know, the co-op version of this, I think, you know, he had the record once with Kebab, and I forget, you know, how that worked out. You know, I don't really know too much information on that. I didn't really put much effort into it, but I was watching him in Slayer, which is another. Oh man, that's another song. That's a zombie legend. You know, from when it comes to Black Ops One, there's really only two guys from the Black Ops One community that play competitively that actually are partnered on Twitch, and it's just Ferd and Slayer, which are two French guys, you know, and they're really cool guys with each other, and you know, they're just cool guys in general, you know. But yeah, I was watching them play, you know, and they got to like round 90, and then they just called it quits. So I think if they wanted to, they could probably get the record. It would be cool to watch them do it. You know, they have the record on Kino Co-op, and I want to do a video on that. I might do one, might not, but definitely will do Ascension after this. So yeah, if you guys are looking forward to that, that'd be amazing, right? So you know, later on in the game, you know, it's pretty much, you know, the same thing. You know, you hoard up, hit them with the, you know, with the Gersh device, and you know, and then insta kill round. You know, that's pretty much the high round, and eventually, you know, you hit the reset, and here's the reset right here. Boom. All right, guys, y'all take care, man. I hope you enjoy this. Peace out, man.